Bonjour à tous, merci de participer à ce webinaire. C'est un plaisir de se retrouver dans le cadre du premier Business Booster Forum. Un grand merci à toute l'équipe de la CCIFI pour cette initiative et opportunité de présenter nos pays. Je suis Catherine Manali, la directrice de la Chambre de commerce France-Grèce et je vous souhaite la bienvenue en webinaire de la Grèce et plus précisément sur le secteur de l'économie circulaire. Quelques mots sur notre chambre, qui est un réseau d'entreprises et d'entrepreneurs français et grecs, actifs depuis 135 ans et près de 350 membres, sociétés adhérentes, dont 2 tiers sociétés grecques et 1 tiers sociétés françaises, impliquées dans le secteur porteur de l'économie en Grèce. Depuis 2017, notre chambre représente la délégation de Promosalon en Grèce et à Chypre. Et depuis janvier 2020, la chambre est référencée comme partenaire privilégié de Business France et les membres de Team France Export. La CCFG, comme tous les autres chambres de commerce, propose un large éventail de prestations lui permettant d'assister les entreprises dans les différentes phases de leur approche du marché grec. Moi, personnellement, et toute l'équipe de notre chambre est à votre disposition si après le webinaire, vous avez des questions précises sur le dit marché ou autre. Maintenant, le concept de l'économie circulaire, d'économie verte, est aujourd'hui au cœur de la stratégie du gouvernement et de nombreuses entreprises grecques. Le gouvernement, les collectivités locales, de petites et grandes entreprises y voient un potentiel d'emploi et de développement réellement durable. La transition vers l'économie circulaire est un facteur important dans l'agenda vert du ministère, selon les différentes déclarations officielles des responsables du ministère. Le principal défi est la mise en œuvre des directives pertinentes de l'Union européenne et la création des cadres pour faciliter et accélérer les investissements, la recherche, l'innovation ainsi que la recherche de solutions orientées vers la nature. Maintenant, quelques mots concernant la situation économique en Grèce. Depuis la publication du dernier mémorandum en 2018 et les dernières élections en juillet 2019, les engagements du nouveau gouvernement grec s'orientent vers la restauration de la confiance des investisseurs et doivent permettre à réunir les conditions d'une relance sur le long terme de l'économie grecque. Après 6 ans consécutifs de récession, l'économie grecque a montré d'importants signes d'amélioration qui se sont poursuivis tout au long de 2019 et les premiers mois 2020. Il faut souligner que dans les prévisions d'automne 2019, la Commission européenne considérait que la croissance de l'économie sera constante à compter de 2020, conduisant à la réalisation des objectifs budgétaires d'excédent primaire annuel, à un recul significatif du chômage, mais aussi à celui de la dette publique. Mais maintenant, après les premiers mois de la crise Covid-19, il est certain que l'économie grecque sera confrontée à un fort coût de sa propagation internationale. Selon les prévisions de la Commission européenne, la pandémie va plonger l'économie grecque, comme tous les pays. Ainsi, le PIB devrait diminuer de 9,7%. Respectivement, les estimations du ministère des Finances prévoient une récession de 4,7%. Mais je pense que Emmanuelle BOULESTREAU va vous donner plus d'informations sur la situation économique ainsi que sur la présence française en Grèce. Quelques mots sur la présence française. La France est le 5e investisseur avec près de 120 filiales de groupes d'entreprises qui représentent tous les secteurs porteurs comme la mécanique, l'automobile, l'énergie, le BTP, les concessions, la chimie, la pharmacie, l'énergie, les services, l'industrie et compte pour près de 15 000 emplois dans le pays. Je voudrais bien souligner qu'en janvier 2020, dans le cadre du forum que notre Chambre de commerce a organisé à Paris, Le ministre Bruno Le Maire et les ministres grecs des Finances et celui du Développement et des Investissements ont signé une déclaration d'intention sur le partenariat économique franco-grec. La coopération sera intensifiée dans les domaines de la transition écologique, du tourisme, de l'agriculture et de l'économie numérique. Avant de commencer, je voudrais présenter nos intervenants. Emmanuelle BOULESTREAU, qui est chef du service économique de l'ambassade française en Grèce, qui va nous présenter la situation économique en Grèce et les opportunités d'affaires. Et Petros Varilidis, directeur du Centre national de l'environnement et du développement, qui va nous présenter le plan national sur le climat et les besoins du pays, ainsi que les opportunités qui se présentent. Je vous rappelle que cette intervention sera en anglais. Emmanuelle BOULESTREAU a fait des études de sciences po à Paris, a obtenu une maîtrise de sciences politiques avec un DEA de formation et de communication, ainsi que des écoles et des études à l'ENA. Elle a occupé plusieurs postes à l'étranger, comme à Bangkok, à l'ambassade de France au Vietnam, à Washington, Jakarta, à Nigeria. Et elle est maintenant à Grèce en chef du service économique depuis septembre 2019. Et Petros Varilidis, ingénieur, chimiste, diplômé de l'Université économique d'Athènes, docteur en ingénierie. Il est depuis des années attaché de la Grèce pour l'environnement à l'Union européenne. Il est expert scientifique auprès du ministère de l'Environnement et de l'Énergie. Et depuis 2016, il est directeur du Centre national de l'environnement et du développement durable. Le centre est une organisation supervisée par le ministère de l'Environnement et également est conseiller stratégique de l'État sur les questions environnementales et durables. Je voudrais vous rappeler que vous avez la possibilité de poser des questions auprès de nos intervenants qui seront répondues à la fin des interventions. N'hésitez pas à envoyer vos questions tout au long du webinaire. Simplement, veuillez préciser à qui votre question est adressée. Je passe la parole à Emmanuelle BOULESTREAU. Merci.
Bonjour à tous. Merci à la Chambre de commerce comme ça de donner la parole pendant quelques minutes pour faire un point sur une question qui est un peu difficile en ce moment pour tous les pays, qui est de savoir un peu quel est l'impact de cette crise sanitaire sur l'économie grecque. Et je pense qu'avoir commencé par rappeler en introduction que l'économie grecque était très bien repartie dès 2018, mais surtout là en 2019 et 2020, qu'elle était sur des trajectoires de croissance relativement fortes et qu'elle se modernisait, est une chose importante qui boucle quasiment avec ma conclusion. Mais je ne vais pas tout de suite à ma conclusion. Donc je me donne 5 minutes pour ne pas prendre trop de temps et laisser la parole à notre intervenant principal, juste pour faire un point de situation économique. Alors que peut-on dire sur la situation actuelle? D'abord que l'impact économique de la crise sanitaire est évident dans les premières statistiques. Donc ces premières statistiques ne couvrent bien évidemment que les 3-4 premiers mois de l'année, mais que voit-on? On voit déjà un impact. On voit un impact sur l'offre, c'est une crise de l'offre, tout le monde le dit. Il y a un indicateur que tout le monde prend, que je reprends, qui est celui de la production industrielle, qui donc a baissé de 3,4% en Grèce de janvier à avril et de 9,9% en avril. Alors ça paraît beaucoup, mais il faut savoir que c'est un des rares pays de l'Union européenne où la production a baissé de moins de 10% en avril, production industrielle. Sur la demande, c'est évidemment une crise de la demande. Et là encore, je prends un indicateur qui est fort utilisé dans toutes les économies, c'est celui de ce qu'on appelle l'épargne forcée, donc le fait de ne pas dépenser, d'augmenter ses dépôts dans les banques. L'épargne forcée, entre guillemets, donc le dépôt des banques et des particuliers, a augmenté de 8,8% en mars, et ça a augmenté dans les mois, évidemment, qui ont suivi. Enfin, par secteur, que voit-on là encore avec les premières données qu'on peut avoir? Je prends 3 secteurs. L'automobile, il y a eu un recul des ventes de 38,3% des voitures de particuliers entre janvier et avril 2020. Le tourisme a vu ses recettes baisser de 51% de janvier à avril, donc avant la grande saison. Et les assurances, pour sortir de pour prendre un secteur de services, ont vu un recul des demandes de nouvelles assurances, donc de primes, de 5,6% au cours des 5 premiers mois 2020. Donc voilà, ce sont des indicateurs. Un autre indicateur, bien évidemment, c'est l'ampleur des mesures qui a été prise par le gouvernement grec, et très rapidement, et de manière très structurée, avec un plan en 4 étapes très clair depuis le début. Donc l'ampleur de ces mesures est à la hauteur de la crise. Donc on le voit sur les exécutions dites budgétaires, sur le mois de mai, où on constate qu'il y avait déjà 9 milliards qui avaient été déboursés en mesures fiscales de lutte contre la crise. Dès le départ, le gouvernement a annoncé qu'il mettrait jusqu'à 24 milliards sur la table sur l'ensemble de l'année. Évidemment, tout ne sera pas forcément consommé, mais ça veut dire que les lignes budgétaires, les soutiens directs, indirects, les reports de charges, enfin, il y a beaucoup de mesures différentes techniques, sont mises en place. L'ampleur du choc, comme dans tous les pays européens, est assez difficile, évidemment, à prévoir. Il y a eu un chiffre de 4,7% qui a été cité. Il est malheureusement déjà un peu dégradé. Le gouvernement, le ministre des Finances commence plutôt à parler de 7-8%, mais c'était attendu. La Commission, le FMI, c'est plutôt autour de 10%. Enfin, voilà, c'est un peu la cible sur laquelle il y a un certain consensus, ce 10%. Certains descendent à moins 20%, mais ce sont des instituts privés et on ne sait pas très bien comment ils font leurs calculs. L'activité, on est en Grèce comme ailleurs, il y a eu un déconfinement assez rapide et très ordonné, là encore, clair, avec des discussions par secteur. Donc on a par rapport à d'autres pays que je ne citerai pas, je pense qu'on a une certaine clarté des directives qui est très importante dans ce contexte. Donc l'activité se redresse visiblement. On n'a pas encore les chiffres. Il y aurait une activité de e-commerce dont on dit qu'elle serait supérieure à ce qui avait été constaté en Chine à la fin du confinement. Donc c'est plutôt des bons signes. Vous savez qu'on se compare beaucoup, la sortie du confinement en Chine comme baromètre un peu international. On a 3 inconnus, en fait. C'est pour ça que c'est très difficile de savoir ce qui va se passer. Et ces 3 inconnus pour juger de l'ampleur de la crise ou de la reprise sur 2020, ce sont bien évidemment le tourisme. La saison a pris du retard, mais ça y est, à partir du 1er juillet, le pays est ouvert, quasiment sans restriction. Enfin, il faut aller voir bien évidemment de manière très, très précise quand on voyage quelles sont les conditions qui sont mises, mais il y a une réouverture. C'est fondamental parce que le tourisme, c'est entre 10% et 30% selon les mesures d'effets directs et indirects sur l'économie. Donc on verra comment la saison touristique se passe. On a bien évidemment aussi une inquiétude sur la capacité qu'auront les toutes petites, enfin les TPE, PME qui composent l'essentiel du tissu de ce pays à surmonter. Donc on verra bien ce qui se passe à partir de septembre, octobre, novembre, lorsque les mesures de soutien seront peut-être moins là, et peut-être seront-elles toujours là d'ailleurs, on ne sait pas. Et puis il y a le transport. On a bien vu, comme partout, il y a une très belle compagnie aérienne ici, Aegean, qui a, comme toutes les grandes compagnies aériennes, été clouée au sol. Donc, ce sont vraiment des choses que nous suivons de près pour savoir comment la reprise grecque va se passer. Je suis, pour tout vous dire, relativement optimiste pour la Grèce, pour la suite. Pourquoi? Je vais aller vite parce que je suis déjà à 6 minutes. D'abord, elle a très très bien géré la crise sanitaire, tout le monde le dit, le monde entier le dit. Et non seulement c'est une réalité avec moins de 200 décès, ce qui est formidable, enfin, mais en plus c'est un changement d'image pour la Grèce. C'est-à-dire que c'est un atout. C'est un atout de passer d'un pays que les gens connaissaient comme étant un pays à problème à un pays qui a apporté des solutions efficaces, rapides et claires. Bon. Et ça joue en économie. Le deuxième, c'est qu'il y a un contexte européen qui finalement, c'est paradoxal, mais est en un sens propice à la Grèce. C'est-à-dire qu'elle a obtenu une sorte de flexibilité provisoire, mais enfin sur ses finances publiques, qui lui permet d'être réactive et d'utiliser son budget. Et puis, elle a un accès à part égale, à égalité avec tous les autres pays européens, à toutes les mesures européennes qui sont mises en place, soit par la Banque centrale, ce qui lui permet d'aller sur le marché de manière peu chère pour se financer, soit toutes les mesures qui ont été mises en place, et notamment, peut-on espérer, le prochain plan de relance sur lequel elle pourra tirer, si je puis dire, 32 milliards pour financer des investissements. Et pour les opportunités d'affaires, ce n'est pas rien. Donc, elle qui cherchait et qui cherche toujours des investisseurs, en un sens, pourra peut-être bénéficier de tout ça. Troisième chose, donc, le gouvernement, de nouveau, est resté très crédible et il poursuit les réformes malgré la crise. Je ne vais pas m'étendre là-dessus, mais il maintient son plan de réforme, il maintient la baisse des impôts, en tout cas le dit-il. Quatrième chose, la crise finalement a fait qu'il y a une énorme flexibilité, adaptabilité à la fois des Grecs eux-mêmes et des entreprises grecques, ce qui n'est pas forcément le cas dans les autres pays peut-être moins habitués à faire face à des crises, et c'est un atout. Dernière chose peut-être, il y a dans les banques, là encore, un assainissement des prêts non performants. Ça ne veut pas dire que tout va bien, ça ne veut pas dire que les banques vont commencer à financer de manière comme ça très importante l'économie, mais là encore, il y a une amélioration malgré la crise, on le voit bien. Et je finis par, là encore, il y a un consensus sur ce qu'on appelle la reprise en V. On ne sait pas ce qui va se passer, mais il y a un consensus des prévisionnistes qui dit que 2021 sera marqué par une reprise, on dit autour de 5%, mais enfin bon, voilà, enfin une reprise assez forte. Donc, j'arrête là parce que je prends déjà beaucoup de temps. On pourra parler des opportunités peut-être plus sectorielles à la fin, si jamais il y a des questions.
Merci Emmanuelle. Alors, il y a un message positif que les Français, c'est le moment que les Français peuvent investir ici en Grèce.
Je pense qu'il y a des opportunités. Alors, il y a d'abord des opportunités parce que les entreprises grecques et le gouvernement grec, de toute façon, poussaient à l'internationalisation, poussaient à l'exportation et poussaient enfin, essayer d'attirer un maximum d'investisseurs. Et je pense que ça reste le cas. Ça reste encore plus qu'avant le cas. Donc, il y a une véritable volonté d'accueil. Je pense que les entreprises grecques, comme toutes les entreprises du monde, vont probablement chercher des partenaires pour rebondir et rebondir d'autant plus vite à la faveur de toutes les opportunités, notamment dans ce qu'on appelle le verdissement de l'économie, et ça sera votre sujet, où les partenariats internationaux sont très importants. Il y a, oui, il y a bon, ce qu'on a, les privatisations, là ce sont de très gros morceaux, mais ces privatisations vont entraîner elles-mêmes des modernisations, des renouvellements d'équipements, etc., etc. Donc, il faut être à l'affût. Si elles se passent, elles seront extrêmement importantes. J'arrête là, mais il y a des possibilités.
D'accord, ok. On verra si après il y a des questions sur les investissements. Et on va peut-être, on aura l'occasion de répondre à différentes questions. Merci Emmanuelle. Je passe la parole à M. Valéglidis. Merci.
Bon après-midi à tous. Merci aux Chambres du commerce pour l'opportunité qu'elle nous a donnée. Je continuerai en anglais parce que c'est plus facile pour moi. Je manque d'entraînement en français. We're going to talk about circular economy in the broader sense, having included also aspects of climate change and the effort to tackle climate change, because these are they go together in practice. So let's see what is the legal and quasi-legal framework internationally. We have the SDG targets for 2030. We have a very strict legal obligation, which is the new waste directives that set new targets, much higher, much more ambitious than before. We have also the Green Deal proposed by the Commission, and we have to see how this will materialize in more tangible political and legislative proposals. And of course, on top of that, the whole discussion is further much more complicated because we have the COVID crisis that, you know, depending on the angle that you look at the issue, it might give more arguments to those that are pro greener approach, or the others that the other member states that are pro exactly the opposite. That they say, okay, you know, circular economy or climate change, that's not the issue right now. Right now is to revive the economy and forget about that. This is a luxury. So we have the Green Deal on the table, but the truth is that we don't know how this is going to end up when the discussion takes place at the appropriate level, which is, you know, the summit, the EU summit. Anyway, at the national level, let me first share my presentation so that everybody can follow the presentation. There we are. Now I think we are all set. Maybe not. Let me see. Sorry for that, but we need to adjust a little bit. Yeah, here we are. Okay. At the national level, we have the National Strategy for Circular Economy and the roadmap for this circular economy. It has been officially adopted by the Ministerial Council of the previous government, but still this government follows it through. We also have a national waste management plan for solid waste management and 13 regional waste management plans that set the framework for the waste management in Greece. We also have the master plan for wastewater infrastructures, wastewater treatment infrastructure for priority C agglomerations, and 13 regional master plans. Priority C agglomerations, we're talking about the small towns, more or less, the size of 10,000 people, and there are plenty of them in Greece. And the other piece of quasi-legislation that we follow in terms of strategic planning is the National Energy and Climate Plan that sets a roadmap for climate change and energy and renewables for 2030. Where are the main business opportunities? First, it's we envisage high amount of investment on the interconnection of the islands. Most of the islands are now not connected to the electrical grid of the mainland, so we produce electricity there in very inefficient and very polluting manner, which is diesel engines, practically ship engines, which is very expensive and very polluting. So we need to interconnect these islands as soon as possible. Another sector that offers great business opportunities is renewables, because we expect to see a large increase in the share of renewables in the energy mix of the country. The third very important sector is the wastewater and wastewater treatment and collection systems to cover all towns of the country. And last but not least, waste management, meaning MBTs, mechanical and biological treatment installations, landfills, and composting plants. where you will see that we are lagging far behind the EU targets or the EU average, and that means a lot of need for additional investment. Regarding the National Energy and Climate Plan, let's see the main aspects of it. The new National Energy and Climate Plan foresees a reduction in the greenhouse gas emissions by 56% compared to 2005 levels, and 42% compared to 1990 levels, not including, of course, the LULUCF emissions or absorptions. So not taking into account the land use change and forestry sector. Also, we foresee reduction of greenhouse gas emissions that are not covered by the EU ETS by 36% compared to the 2005 levels. And here I need to mention that the national targets, according to the burden sharing regulation, the EU regulation, is 16%. So instead of 16%, which is the EU target for us, we aim to reach 36%, a much more ambitious target. For the renewables, we foresee for 2030, 35% share of renewables in gross final energy consumption, and 61 to 64% share of renewables to gross final electricity consumption. We intend to limit final energy consumption to 16.5 million tons of oil equivalent by 2030. We target energy efficiency of buildings. We foresee 40 to 60,000 building renovations per year, and we have a special program for public buildings where ESCOs are foreseen to be the main tool to proceed with public buildings. We also foresee the decommissioning of all lignite power plants by 2028, which is a very ambitious target that was set by the new government. Of course, here we have to mention that Ptolemaida 5 is a newly built lignite power station, actually still under construction that is expected to start operating in 2022. So there, okay, the declared political target is to close all lignite power plants by 2008, but personally, I put a question mark for this newly built power plant that by 2008 will have only a life of 6 years. So it's not so easy to proceed with that decision. But of course, we have to see. Regarding the foreseen total installed power for photovoltaics and wind farms by 2030, it is foreseen to increase to 14 to 40.7 gigawatts. And also we foresee an additional hydroelectric installed power of more than 1 gigawatt, from which 770 gigawatts will be on hydro pump storage systems. That is in hydroelectric power, we're talking about 25% increase compared to the existing situation. And we foresee also natural gas as a transitional fuel. We also foresee a large expansion of gas and oil pipelines. Of course, the interconnection of the islands. All main islands are supposed to be interconnected by 2030. And we also have a very ambitious target for electric cars, 8.8% electric cars by 2030. Personally, also for this target, I have my doubts if this will be feasible, because the car market right now is very slow. So we need to see how the new motives, economic motives that are offered by a new law that we're passing right now in the parliament, how that will affect the electrical car market in the country. Regarding the interconnections, the plan is that the second interconnection of Lavrio and Syros will be finalized by 2020, this year. West Cyclades will follow by 2025. And of course, the big thing is Crete, where we have the small interconnection. We're talking about alternating current 150 kilowatts. This is a project under development to be finalized in 2021. And of course, all the money goes to the large interconnection, which is DC, and it is supposed to be operational, hopefully, by 2023. And then Dodecanese complex of islands are supposed to follow by 2028. That's a tentative date. And North Aegean islands, Lesbos, Chios, Limnos, are supposed to follow by 2029. Regarding the projection for the increase of renewables, we see here where we stand in terms of installed power and gigawatt hours in 2020, that's today, and we see the gradual increase by 2030 of all the different main renewables, that is hydropower, wind farms, photovoltaic, bioenergy, solar thermal plants, and geothermal power plants. And of course, the main share of increase will be on wind farms and photovoltaics. Regarding biomass, which is biogas and biomass for electricity production, which is a very interesting sector from the aspect of circular economy, because it combines renewables and especially renewables that can produce electrical energy in a steady manner, not the chaotic manner of solar power or wind power, because solar and wind depends on the wheels of the wind or the sun. Whereas biomass and biogas, you have a steady production. And at the same time, you solve the problem of waste management, which is a very, very important issue. Right now, we have about 60 biogas and biomass units with installed power of a little bit more than 84 megawatts, and net electricity generation of a little bit more than 300 gigawatt hours. And that is analyzed in 40 biogas units, 5 landfills that produce electricity from biogas, 4 wastewater treatment installations that produce electricity from biogas, and 31 units that produce electricity from biogas using agricultural waste, being from farming or being from livestock. And we have another 20 biomass units that operate with wood. They are all very small. They total a little bit more than 13 megawatts installed power. But under permitting, we have more than 1,100 biomass units with a total installed power of about 700 megawatts. And we have 415 biogas units of almost 350 megawatts installed power. And when we're saying under permitting, that does not mean that the the available funds are there readily available. It means that some potential investors have filed a dossier to get the permit, but maybe they need some partnerships to go ahead with these projects. But these projects, it means that these projects are more mature to go ahead. And by 2030, we foresee that the net electricity generation coming from biogas and biomass will be much higher than it is today. So it will reach more than 1.5 gigawatt hours. And we see here, we also have analyzed how the installed capacity of wind farms and photovoltaics will be played out per geographical region. We have 13 regions in Greece, so we also have a projection of the increase of different regions. Going now to wastewater collection and treatment, this is an issue on the left side. You see the actual situation right now. We have covered, let me go a little bit down, yeah, there we are. We have covered 90.7% of priority A agglomerations. That means the very big cities. 87% of the priority B agglomerations, that is medium-sized towns, and 36.7% of priority C agglomerations. So in practical terms, for A and B agglomerations, we have covered more or less everything, but two areas of Attica. East Attica, where there is a lack of the necessary treatment facilities, and we're paying a fine at the European Court for that. We have been condemned by the European Court for that. And there is also the area of Thriasio field in West Attica, where the problem mainly lies. I mean, there the wastewater treatment plant is constructed, is in operation, but we are lagging behind in the share of private connections to the sewerage network that will lead the sewerage to the treatment plant. So we have a difficulty in convincing the local population to connect to the wastewater treatment installation. Also, another issue is the treatment of the sewage sludge. Right now, we produce about 120,000 tons per year in Greece, and about 32% of that comes from the large treatment plants in Athens and Thessaloniki, and is incinerated. But of course, for the rest, the treatment of the sewage sludge remains an important challenge. Regarding the sea agglomerations, following the last national plan that we have established, there are 399 priority sea agglomerations, from which 147 installations have already been completed, but 22 of them do not operate. They have been completed, but they're not in operation, either because there is insufficient private connections or because the local companies don't know how to operate them. They don't have the capacity to operate them. 172 priority sea agglomerations have been included and have secured funding in the current programming period. The current programming period ends in 2023. And there are another 50 orphan settlements for these periods. Orphan meaning that they have not secured funding. And by the end of 2020, our projection is that 330 million euros will have been paid in this type of projects. We see here the unit cost of construction of sewage networks, because wastewater collection and treatment has two aspects. One aspect is the treatment plant, another aspect is the collection, is the sewage system. So we see here, depending on the length of the pipelines, how the cost is reduced, and the average is a little bit less than 300 euros per meter. That's the average cost. And regarding the cost of the treatment plant, we see here that, of course, depending on the size, the cost is reduced as expected, and the average cost is about a little bit less than 350 euros per equivalent inhabitant. Let's see what is the main problem in wastewater collection and treatment. The main problem is that although many towns have already the necessary wastewater collection and treatment infrastructure, still quite a few have not operated at all, or their operation remains problematic. The main reason for that is that the infrastructure is oversized, and that means that it runs on very small actual amount of wastewater, and that means that it cannot run properly as it is designed. Of course, this has to do with a history of having the tendency to go for high budgets, sometimes being a self-evident target that we need to go for high budgets, because the idea is how to absorb more money rather than how to have real projects. So also the political goal is the absorption of the money and not the construction of the project as such. The construction of the project is the excuse for the absorption of the money. There is also lack of adequate capacity in human resources, especially in small municipalities. There is installations, plants that are not in operation, although they have been constructed for a long time, and they remain unattended. Slowly they are robbed and vandalized, even for people stealing either part of the pumps or the equipment to recycle it into scrap yards. So when finally we're ready to operate these plants, important parts are missing, and you need another public tender to refurbish the plants. And another problem is that sometimes the sewerage networks are problematic, and there is intrusion of seawater or inflow of large amounts of rainwater into a combined sewerage system during heavy rainfalls. Now, the current program period has a total budget of a little bit less than 1 billion euros for wastewater collection and treatment plants. And the goal is to complete priority A and B agglomerations, for which we pay fines because we haven't finished them yet, and to proceed with gradual completion of priority C agglomerations. And also there are some, let's say, partial projects to complete installations of priority B and C agglomerations of the least developed regions and regions in transition are now, they have partially been completed. So in order to be able to operate, they need to be fully completed. And by the end of 2020, we expect to have a 30% absorption of that. And to sum up the main problems is we have delayed due to changes in the EU and national legal framework for tender procedures, especially for design and construction projects. Another issue that creates problem is the inclusion of operation in the tenders of operation together with construction that complicates the tendering procedure. We have problems with private connection, inadequate private connections. We have problems with the tertiary treatments that are foreseen in some of these installations because they're not eligible for EU funding. So that leaves us with Greek public money, and that's not there, as you understand, because of the never-ending crisis. We have issues of incomplete studies or incomplete infrastructure, so the need for supplementary contracts. Sometimes there are issues that have to do with the stability of the ground, so you need more geotechnical research and geological studies. Another issue in Greece, we have in many cases problems with archaeology. That's an unexpected problem, maybe for many foreign investors, but in Greece, unfortunately, it's very common. Archaeology is very, very important, very strong civil service in Greece, and can stop any project. There is an issue of coordination with other utilities. And of course, there is a very well-known syndrome of not in my backyard. People reacting when you are trying to build a wastewater treatment installation in their neighborhood. They never protest because they don't have a wastewater treatment installation, but they always protest when you try to build a new installation, being for wastewater, or being for waste management, or being a wind farm. So any new project has to deal with local reaction. I guess this is not a unique feature of Greece, but sometimes in Greece, I think it's much more important because politicians are very sensitive to those that have a strong voice against projects. And of course, the challenges, there are also some new challenges on this sector, which is one is the water reuse. We try to increase the water reuse in wastewater treatment installations. The other challenge is the management of the sewage sludge. There is a gap there. And the third one is how to combine wastewater treatment installations together with renewables in order to have a greener profile in these installations. And for the next period, we foresee wastewater treatment installations for 30 priority C agglomerations with a budget of a little bit less than 300 million euros. And also wastewater treatment installations for priority D agglomerations with a budget of about 400 million euros. When we say D agglomerations, that means touristic areas, coastline, small cities that are small towns that are in the coastline, or small towns that are close to sensitive water systems and archaeological sites. So about 700 million euros in the next programming period. Finally, for waste management, that's the number one, if you ask my opinion, environmental problem in Greece. We have underway, we're finalizing these days the revision of the National Waste Management Plan and also the Regional Waste Management Plans. We also changed the legal framework to accelerate the approval procedure of these plans. The EU requirements ask for 10% landfill by 2035 and 65% recycling by 2035. The new National Waste Management Plan has not been officially adopted, but I know I have the figures, foresees 10% landfill until 2030, and we have to take into account that now, as we speak, is 80% landfill. So from 80% landfill today to go to 10% in 10 years, if you ask me, is mission impossible. But okay, let's say that it's an aspirational target. Politicians like aspirational targets. And anyway, it remains to us, the bureaucrats, to make our best to implement these targets. And then, of course, the politicians comes and accuse the administration that it was incompetent and didn't manage to succeed on the mission impossible targets. And the other target that is foreseen for 2030 is 55% recycling for glass, paper, plastic, and metals from 30% that we are today. And of course, there must be, in order for these figures to add up, we must have a high energy waste utilization share, but we don't have that figure yet, as the plan is under its finalization by after tomorrow, actually. But this is the figure that is still remains open because it's also a politically sensitive figure. Realistically, we hope to have 100% coverage of the country with brown bins. Brown bins meaning bins that collect separately bio-waste, and green points. And there is appropriate funding secured for that. And here we have some figures for the current programming period. We see in the first column the available funds for soft actions, household waste management, including minimization, sorting, and recycling measures. That means the brown bin, I said previously, or the green points. That's why we call them soft actions, about 200 million euros there, and you see how this has played out so far. For hardcore treatment, meaning MBT plants, incineration or landfilling, we have foreseen a little bit less than 900 million euros, and there are open calls for proposal. For hazardous industrial waste management, we have foreseen 20 million euros because there the main responsibility lies to the producer. And we have also foreseen another 50 million euros for restoration of polluted industrial areas. And also here we see we have an idea of how much money is available in all different fund sources that are available right now. So a little bit over 1 billion euros. And these are the waste management ongoing procurements that we have, and you see the region, the area that we're referring to. You see in the third column, you have the quantities of solid waste, and the penultimate column has the quantity of bio-waste, because these plants, these projects, they foresee an MBT plant, they foresee a landfill, and they foresee a separate treatment of separately collected bio waste. And you see also in the last column the budget of these projects that are we have ongoing procurements. And in this table, you also can see the plants to be auctioned, to be tendered by 2020, and some of them are with private-public partnerships. This is one of the plants in eastern part of central Macedonia, in the area of Kozani. And you see the budget, 40 million, and we have another big project, 70 million euros, again in the same area, which is all total, the whole amount is with public funding. These are the two larger projects, and there's another big one in Crete, and another big one in the area of Thrace. And after 2020, we have 22 mature, as we call them, projects. That means that from a permitting aspect and in terms of studies that have been carried out, they are quite mature. So hopefully they will be tendered after 2020, and among them there is a big one in the area of Lamia, and another big one, 30 million euros, in the area of Rhodos, in the island of Rhodos, and of course a big one in the area of Attica in Grammatiko, about 55 million euros, and another one a little bit more than 40 million euros in the area of Volo. So you see that there are quite a few large projects to be tendered after 2020, hopefully in 2021. Of course, the big question mark is the area of Attica, where right now the regional waste management plan is not there. So, I have information on what is going to happen. 3 MBTs in the area of Ano Iosia, one, and the other one in Grammatiko, and the other one in the area of Schisto in Piraeus, but still this is not finalized and has not gone under the necessary permitting procedures. So it's still quite a long shot right now. And you see all these in the map. And as I told you, the big question mark and the big money lies into the area of Attica. Well, that's all I have. I have prepared to tell you for now, and I'm at your disposal for any questions you might have. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Petrus, for the very interesting presentation. We have a question about concerning the matter of bureaucracy, and especially for the heavy procedures or delays. So do you have something to tell about? Yeah. Because we have French companies that they hesitated to participate in different projects because of this.
Yeah, I think it's a very understandable concern. Mm-hmm. For sure, you know, all Greek governments, they claim that they are against bureaucracy. The truth is that when we are at the role of the opposition party, they are more against bureaucracy, and when they are at the governing position, they start rethinking of the whole issue, because then bureaucracy becomes a tool that we can manage with the good guys every time. Okay. Well, bad guys, you know. So they start having second thoughts. But of course, the current government for sure believes that bureaucracy is a bad thing. This was not obvious with the previous government. In the previous government, some people believe that bureaucracy, even in theory, is a good thing because it establishes more state control. But still, you know, bureaucracy is not about being, a bad person or a good person, or being liberal or not liberal. It's about procedures that we have established collectively. So there is a collective responsibility for that. The truth is that, traditionally, we have followed as an administration the French model.
Je sais pas, Emmanuelle, est-ce que tu veux ajouter quelque chose sur la française?
So that means a more bureaucratic and state-controlled process of permitting. Anyway, we try to cut down red tape, but the truth is that the larger the project it gets, the longer times you need to mature the projects in terms of permitting procedure. So I would say that many of these projects may need from the time that they are conceived to the time they are up and running, they may take 10 years time. Mm-hmm. Okay. At least, they need at least 5 years time. Mm-hmm. So best case scenario is 5 years.
Okay.
Worst case can be forever. The average is 10. And part of the problem is the judicial system. Mm-hmm. This is one reform that, we missed during the 10 years crisis.
Yes, of course.
They are untouchable, the judges. Most of them don't even use computers, you know. They have their own pace, and it takes forever for many judicial cases to be finalized. So we have projects that they have been stalled because of judicial adventures for 3, 4, 5 years. Of course, we have passed some legislation that obliges the judges to give priority to investment plans that are called strategic investment projects, and that has obviously accelerate things, but still the times, the delays are still very, very large. And in any large project, you can be certain that someone is going to sue against the project. There's no way that you don't have either different economic interests or local groups that don't go to court for large projects, being renewables, being waste management, being biological treatment plants. So big part of the problem is that, for example, we have now this, we have signed contract. Well, we are about to sign a contract for the 3 large plants in Peloponnesos for waste management. And still we haven't been able to do that because there is a court case against the price that the state have said that the land that we need to appropriate costs. So, people have gone to court and they say, no, it's not 10,000 euros per hectare, is 100,000 euros per hectare. And that has delayed the process for an extra 6 months.
Yes, this is a situation that happens to the other countries also. We are not unique.
We're not unique, but it's only us that we got bankrupt, Mm-hmm. That must tell us something. That means that we need to do extra effort to recover, to make things better.
Okay. Emmanuelle, est-ce que tu veux ajouter quelque chose pour la clôture?
Well, I will switch in English. No, thank you for this presentation, which was extremely interesting. I totally concur with you that the judiciary system, or the way
you mentioned something, yeah.
something, but there are ways. Actually, it's true. It's time consuming. It's money consuming. It's you need a very, very strong legal team to accompany you when you go into that kind of project. But I think it's good also to look at the end, to see why you are fighting for. And I come back to my idea, which is, yes, there are opportunities in Greece. And I think that once again, in a very strange twist of things, this crisis in a way might open or accelerate some of those projects. But of course, I don't want to seem too idealistic. I totally agree with you. There are many hurdles. You need to be prepared. You need to take time to do things, but at least come and see.
Exactly.
And if I may say one thing,
yes,
it's important to have local partners. Not because
it's very important. Yes.
Not important. It's not important because you need a mediator. That's not the issue. It's not the issue about connections. It's the issue about knowing the legal system and the way exactly the legislation is implemented, and what the exact legal provisions are in order to be able to navigate in these complicated projects that have very complicated aspects, being environmental aspects or being aspects that have to do with tendering procedures, funding, signing contracts, all that stuff.
Exactly.
So it's important to have serious and professional legal local partnerships.
Merci Emmanuelle et Petros de votre participation. Merci à vous tous et n'oubliez pas que la Chambre de commerce reste toujours à votre disposition pour tout autre renseignement. Merci à tous. Bonne soirée.